guys, welcome back to Beauty Fortified, and today I'm coming at you with another foundation review. And today it's all about the MAC Studio Fix Fluid SPF 15. Now, I do use a lot of MAC products, and I have had a couple of requests from subscribers to do a review on this foundation. Now, I haven't tried this foundation in many years. I think it was one that I wore probably 15 years ago. And so I thought it would be interesting just to give it a go and see how it fares. Now, they do say that it is oil-free. They say that it lasts for 24 hours. And I do have normal combination skin. They say that it does absorb oils as well. So I thought, well, today would be the perfect day. I am going to be out in the bright sunshine, so I am going to be able to put this foundation through its paces. Now, just a little bit about the foundation. We're going to have a look and see what they say about it on the website. So they do say that it doesn't settle into pores. It controls oil and shine for 6 hours. They say it's for all skin types, especially oily skin. It's got stay true color for 24 hours. It does come in a whopping 67 shades, so that's absolutely brilliant. It's non-fading, streaking, caking, or settling, and it provides immediate and long-term moisture as well. So it does quite a lot of amazing things all at the same time. And it's sweat and humidity resistant, and as I say, it is oil-free. So I know that a lot of people swear by this foundation. It is very popular with makeup artists, and it is supposed to be just one of those MAC classics. But I, as I say, have not used it for a number of years, and so it's going to be quite interesting to see how it fares on my mature 51-year-old normal combination skin. I do have fine lines, wrinkles, and enlarged pores. I'm always looking for a foundation that's going to smooth my pores and one that's going to last all day. So not one that's going to slide around, that I'm going to have to blot repeatedly. One that's just going to stay intact. So that is a big thing for me. So we're going to go onto the application, and then I'm going to come back later on during the day, and I'm going to let you know how the foundation has performed. I've applied all my skincare and my sunscreen, so I'm going to give the bottle a shake. I'm going to do one side with a sponge and the other side of my face with a brush. I am in the shade NC25. I was matched online, so we're going to see how this matches. Unfortunately, the foundation doesn't come with a pump. I believe you can buy a pump separately. Just going to dot a little bit of that over the one side of my face. It is looking quite peachy in tone. So we're going to see how that blends in. I wouldn't say that that is a perfect match for me, but we'll see. We'll give it the benefit of the doubt. So taking a foundation brush, I'm just going to buff that into the skin. And it is buffing in really nicely. And the shade matches really not too bad at all. So it is giving me, I would say, a light to medium coverage. It's definitely not a full coverage foundation, but I'm sure that you can build it up slightly. Just doing my forehead. So that's one layer. And I must say it's blended in really easily with a brush. I can still see my skin peeking through, so it's not a blanket coverage at all. It has given me a very nice satin matte finish so far. So I'm going to go in on the other side, and we're going to dab a little bit on with a sponge and see how the sponge fares. I'm really not that used to applying foundations that don't have a pump. So it does feel a little bit awkward. So going in with a damp sponge, just going to pounce it in all over the skin and see how that looks. It seems to be giving me a slightly fuller coverage with the sponge, interestingly, than with the brush. But the shade is blending in quite nicely. I'm sure that if I went to the MAC counter in person with their 67 shades, I probably could be matched slightly better. But this was done online, so we'll forgive them for that. I'm not really enjoying this application with a sponge. It is giving me a little bit of texture. So I'm going to abort that, and I'm going to just go over it with a foundation brush just to smooth it out. I don't know whether it's the sponge that I'm using. I'm using a Huxley sponge. Don't know whether it's that, but really not enjoying the look of that. I do have a little bit of dry skin which it's clinging to, so just going to smooth that out. But I must say I'm liking the finish. It's very skin-like. The shade has blended really nicely into my skin. I think I'm going to apply a tiny bit more. We're going to see how buildable this is. I'm just going to apply a little bit more to my cheek area. Just make sure that this forehead area is all blended in. Right off the bat, I can see that it is clinging to I have a few dry patches of skin on my temples. So we're just going to see if this can be built up slightly, just applying a little bit to my cheek area. I really don't mind applying foundation with a brush. It probably is my preferred method. So it doesn't really worry me that the sponge was not producing the goods. It really is just, it seems to be a lot easier and a lot smoother with the brush, to be honest. So it really is blending in beautifully. I am going to just have to brush away those dry patches at my temples, but that is, I don't think that's got anything to do with the foundation. It's probably to do with my skincare and a little bit of exfoliation on the skin. So this is looking really nice. I'm just being uber cautious about blending it because I do see a little bit of streaking just over my top lip. So I am going to try and blend that in as far as possible, but definitely giving me a beautiful satin matte finish. It's not exacerbating my pores at all. It's looking really good. I'm just making sure that it is streak free. So this does require a little bit of extra blending just to make sure that everything is well blended in. Now I am going to go ahead and apply a little bit of powder. It definitely does need a bit of a mattifying powder on me because it does have, as I say, a soft satin matte effect, but it is looking just a little bit too shiny for my liking. I do usually apply a finishing powder, a setting powder anyway, to all my foundations. So I'm going in with my beloved Rimmel Stay Matte. This is a very light powder and it just helps to ease a little bit of the shine after foundation application, and it just helps a little bit with the oil control as well. So just patting that in. It also helps to smooth my pores. And overall I can say it's looking quite good. I'm quite happy with it. So I guess the longevity of the foundation is going to be the deciding factor here. So it's looking good. Now I'm going to go in, I'm going to apply a little bit of blush. We're going to see how the blush applies. I'm going in with a blush from Clinique, and this is Sunset Glow. It's just a beautiful peachy plummy shade. We're going to see how that applies over the foundation. Nothing is moving around and it's blending in really beautifully. This is a really beautiful blush. It's very sheer, very satiny, very flattering on mature skins. So really, really love it. That is the finished look. The foundation has been on for about 5 minutes, just over 5 minutes now. And I must say that it does look like it is clinging to dry patches. It's looking very clingy. I'm not sure how I feel about that. And it also looks like it could already be breaking up around here as well. But we're going to give it the benefit of the doubt. It might just stick like this and improve as the day goes on. We don't know. We're going to see about that. But the overall finish is really good. I think that the shade match could have been slightly more in tune with my skin. I think it's a little bit too peachy, but it's not very obvious once the foundation has been blended out. But I am going to be on the lookout for how it settles into fine lines, wrinkles and pores, and how it wears throughout the day. So I will be back with my final verdict in a few hours. I've now had the foundation on for 8.5 hours, and I have been in the hot sun all day. I've had my sunglasses on, and I must say that I've been very impressed with the oil control capabilities of the foundation. I've only blotted my skin once, and I'm also impressed that it didn't transfer radically either. There was a little bit of oil coming through onto the tissue paper, but not a lot of foundation. So the foundation really has stayed put in essence. There has been a little bit of breakup. I see now around about the 8.5 hour mark. It is kind of pooling in my pores, and it is breaking up a little bit around my nose and around my chin area. It seems to have worn off on my chin, but on my cheeks and my nose where I had my sunglasses on, it seems to have withheld quite well. So it is there for the most part. I must say that where I can see that it's breaking up, it's a little bit exacerbated by the shade. So I think if I had a shade that was closer to my skin tone, I probably would see less of the imperfections as it kind of wore down and, you know, settled in my pores and my fine lines. I don't think it would be as amplified if I had a perfect shade match. So I'm very, very impressed with this foundation. I was expecting it to slide around a little bit. There was none of that happening. It definitely has kind of settled now into dry patches just a little bit. So definitely some settling, but I mean, after 8.5 hours, I think that that is probably the least that you can expect from a foundation. So I'm very, very impressed with it. I will give it a thumbs up for that. I think it's definitely got great amount of wear time, and the fact that there are so many shades means that you are very, very likely to find a shade that's perfect for you. So guys, let me know if you've tried this foundation. I'd really love to hear from you. I know that it is a very popular one with a lot of people, especially those with oily skins. So I'd love to hear from you if you have tried it. I am going to leave you with a link to my foundation playlist if you're interested in any of the other foundation reviews that I have done. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Ciao, ciao.